Good morning, everyone. It is 11:02, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Can everyone see the agenda? Yes, awesome. It says I'm sharing, but you know how that is. Okay, so it's just Liz this morning. Kate had a family issue, so it's the Liz show. But if anybody else is on here from the catalog committee and you want to jump in, please do. So hopefully this should be a pretty short meeting. We have some things to talk about, but not a ton. So yay for everybody finding us. I know we moved the meeting. Just a note, I'll note this again at the end of this meeting, that next month's meeting is moved a week also because of another federal holiday. So heads up. So you'll be seeing us a week later next month as well. And we canceled the meeting in December because we always do anyway. We're just not going to put on any pretense this time that we're going to have it. So what is happening? Committee news. MLC went live last Thursday. So with the 9 libraries from the MLC coming on, that means, of course, you'll be seeing like duplicate records and their items and everything like that. So if you see a merge, do a merge. With 9 libraries, or will look like there are probably more merges than normal, but it's 9 libraries, so that would be why. So that's the nature of migrations. Although we had a decent deduplication rate, there are still going to be things we have to merge together, and just keep an eye out for. Also, the MLC, they did they did start sharing on day 1. So you will see things coming up in your transit that may have to transit to an MLC library, or you may be seeing things coming in from them, and they chose on their go live to start sharing with everybody. So that is already happening. I know there was chatter, and I don't even remember which listserv this morning, whether it was ME or circulation, about their transit slips. But if you want to reference back to that, or you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So MLC did go live with sharing on day 1, and they launched Aspen, so the discovery layer. The other Mac libraries that are going to do Aspen, I believe there are 7, says notice, yes, 7 pilot libraries for Aspen. They will go live later in November, and then after they get through, it can launch the rest of the libraries that are interested in sometime in 2025. So keep a heads up for that. That is going to be happening. Are there any questions about MLC?
Just because I always do the plugs as the webmaster, all of the MLC libraries have individual library pages, and they are integrated into the cataloging and circulation contact lists.
Because Ron is awesome. He keeps us updated on those. So if you need to contact somebody from those, you go to the normal place. He's already added those. So there you go. Consortium cataloger news. What has Liz been doing? A little of everything. Always grading certification, and I do grade those as they come in. So if it takes me a couple days, it just probably means there's a couple of people who turned them in ahead of you, and I'm grading. So you can see the stats on there with the new certification. 47 individuals have been certified with the basic, 27 with the advanced, and then of course we have recertification, and 13 people have completed basic recertification, and 55 have completed the advanced recertification. So it's getting up there. If you have questions about certification, how to do it, how to get on the test server, that's always the biggest question, because our accounts expire, and who remembers that until you have to get on the test server? Please contact me. I can unexpire your accounts if need to, or look into permission issues if there's issues somewhere in the back end. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out if you need something. Of course, MARC crib sheets are always getting updated. I've added a foreign language one in there now, in the J. There we go. Let's see if I can find it in here. There we go, books J, foreign language. I still have a couple on my list I need to add in. I'm going to put a tablet in there this month, and I'm going to add in a Tet Besh book. If you don't know what that is, that's one of those books that's bound like this way with one story, and then if you flip it, it's a completely other story another way. So I'm going to add an example of one of those in also. But The MARC crib sheets are continuously being updated, so make sure you're checking that link to see if new ones have been added. Also, I've been doing a lot of batch edits in the server. So if you see something that like, hey, I was just in that record and it looks slightly different, but it doesn't say anybody has touched it, that was probably me, because on the back end, when I'm doing things in batch edit like that, it is not adding my signature. So I'm just a ghost in the machine. So that's happening. I've also been deleting out some rogue electronic records that aren't supposed to be in there. So stuff's happening. It just, you can't necessarily see it, but it's going on. All right. All right, we're gonna skip ahead here, talk about cataloging permissions. So our cataloging permissions are going to change. We've been talking about this for a while now. They are going to match the basic and advanced certification. They have started in the test server with the MLC. So MLC is apparently guinea pigging our new permissions, but hopefully it's working out. So how these will work is there will be 4 layers, I guess. The first one is what we call Baby Cat. That's basically what I consider circulation plus. So it's for people who in circulation but may also need to do a status change for an item, or change a barcode, or change a call number. Baby Cat individuals do not have to have certification, because they are only touching the very minute things in their own library's records. But it's called Baby Cat so we could keep a track of how many people are actually using those permissions, because they are technically cataloging permissions, but anybody can have them who asks for them. The next step up, we have Basic Cat, and that of course aligns with the basic certification. So those are the deleting holdings, transferring, creating templates, monograph parts, and then of course changing barcodes and everything else. The third little layer is Advanced Cat. That aligns with the advanced certification. That is your importing, merging, overlaying, deleting, and uploading cover images is also considered an advanced Cat certification thing. Now the very top of the pyramid is what is going to be called Cat Admin. Let's put a pin in that, because in order to switch this hierarchy over, we had to come up with something that was a unique name. And right now with the old steps for our permissions, we have something called Cat Admin, but it doesn't equal 1-to-1. So there's going to be this weird interim phase where this is called Top Cat. If anybody remembers the cartoon character with the hat, the top hat cat, the hat, he was in like some kind of band, I don't know. That's what this is referring to. So when these permissions get launched in the production server for everyone come probably 2025, those are the 4 that will be coming over. And eventually Top Cat will turn back into Cat Admin once everybody is settled on it and the old Cat Admin has disappeared. We just had to have a unique name to switch it over. And Cat Admin, there's not going to be that many people with Cat Admin. It's people who have basically cataloging superpower. So it may be people on the cataloging committee. It'll be me, maybe Heather from the MLC. It just really, it depends. But not a lot of people will have that Top Cat, Cat Admin permission group once everything is settled out. But for now, only MLC is on those. You guys don't have to worry about it the rest of MEC until sometime in 2025, but we will give you lots of notice. We will be going through and assigning things ourselves. There shouldn't be anything you necessarily have to do, but we just want to keep you updated because this project is slowly coming together. Does anybody have questions about permission levels? Okay. As always, if you're going through and doing things in the catalog and discover that, oh, I don't have this permission and this cataloging permission and I should, you can always email me and I'm able to look into that and assign those if need be. So use me for that. You don't necessarily have to contact support for that with cataloging. That can be a Liz email. All right, we're moving right along. I told you guys this meeting was going to be pretty short. But we are already at cataloging discussion. So This is something that's come up a couple times this month, and it's just really a reminder. I know generally most people know this once they like really think about it, but it's an important thing to note that so the difference in author spelling, something can be spelled one way on the book, but their authority record could be different. So we have an example TC in here. I went ahead and pulled that up. So this is Shinobi Life 1. It's a manga. I never know how to pronounce that. And you can see here in the 245. So the 245, it has the title, of course, and then created by, I'm not even going to butcher that name. We'll just look, and we see that the last name starts with a C, Konomi. But then you'll also notice that if you come up to the 100 with their authority record, Konomi is now spelled with a K. Now, that could be because the name was anglicized, it could be a number of things. But just keep in mind that you should be looking up your authors for the authority record that go in the 100 and only be using the ones that are authorized. But in the 245C, that's taken directly off the book. So if that's spelled different here and is a different authority in the 100, that's why. It's not wrong necessarily, it just is the nature of the beast. Sometimes authors have completely different names in the 100 versus their authority versus what's on the book. That sometimes happens, and it makes us crazy, but that's why that happens. Anybody have questions about that? Of course, you should be looking up your authority, your name authorities in 2 different places. Let's see if I can find them quickly in my bookmarks. The one I call the Angel website, which is not an angel, this is crazy, but you can search name authorities here under search authorities, name authority. And so let's look this one up. Oh, I really should definitely put in that name, first name also. This is something where spelling counts, and I'm bad at spelling, so you'll have to forgive me. There we go. Name
Liz, are you
authority.
sharing your screen?
I am. Can you not see it?
No.
Oh, okay. Let me.
I can see it.
I can see it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on Library of Congress authorities. So basically, when you're looking up that name authority, I put it in as it appeared on the book. You'll see here it says references, personal name. When I click on the references, this is where it says C, name with a K, and tells you it's the authorized heading. And then you can, of course, link through, go in and read, oh, yep, he writes Shinobi Life. That's the book we're dealing with. And his name appears as this in his authority. So in the 100, that's the one you would copy and paste into your mark record. And this is the C also in the record. It works the exact same way if you're using the other website. Let's see if I can. I thought I was so good and brought everything up like I should have, and I did not. Okay, so if you're using the Library of Congress one, you would go into the LC name authority. And I'm going to copy this from here because Liz can't spell. So this is the name as it appears on the book. You press go and wait. There we go. And it redirects us. Here is the name authority. And again, click in. It should be the same information that's on the other website. It just looks slightly different. So depending on who you are, which website you like to use, it's up to you. This one actually seems to be running slow this morning, which is weird. It's usually the other one, but that is how that works. Okay, so if you are seeing records and you're like, man, that's not how that name appears, make sure you're going in and checking for that authority record, because that is probably what's going on. Any question about those name authorities?
Hey Liz, can you hear me?
I can. What's up?
Okay, I've never used this before. So on one of these, we had like, I've sent email about it before because of the problems with the 400 fields
Mhm.
not working when we look up an author by a different name, but it was with the like another Asian name where the name on the book is and everywhere, every website, everything is completely different than the
Mhm.
authorized name. So
Yes.
I went ahead and I did it correctly, but I also added an added entry at the like an additional 700 for
Mhm.
what was the 400 field because I
Yep.
thought patrons are not going to be able to find that because no one knows that name except for Library of Congress, I guess.
Yeah, so technically, our authorities are not working in Evergreen specifically like they should. They're not always catching those 400s and redirecting. Now, what Warren is talking about, adding a 700 with the incorrect name, is technically incorrect. Um, However, I mean, we do what we can. I wouldn't necessarily do that. I understand doing it, but it should be catching it if you are looking by keyword
Okay.
in the catalog. So that's our catch-all. If you look by keyword and look by either name, it should be catching those because of how they appear in the record,
Okay.
without even the 700.
I
So
always look it up by title and author, so that's why it wasn't showing up for me.
yes,
Um,
yes. And some patrons use that, you know, like some more of like what they call like our super users who are really like they know exactly what they want and they're going to go in a title author search. But generally, most people are going in and using a keyword search, so that's how that we get away with that at this point. That is a bug with Evergreen that is on, you know, in there to be fixed, but so far it's just how Evergreen
like the
works.
worst bug
The
to
worst
me.
bug. Yeah, no, it's terrible. It is the worst bug, but you know, such is life. Such is
I
life.
usually don't do that except for in this case because I couldn't find any references where that name was ever spelled or it even sounded completely different, you know?
And
So
it's specifically tricky with Asian names because of how whether they're inverted, sometimes they're not, depending on what language it is. Sometimes they are and they're spelled different, like the example that we used. So those are specifically tricky. And of course, those are going to be found a lot of time for us. We see them a lot on, you know, graphic novels, manga, all of that. So
yeah, there shouldn't actually there it should never even in Japanese the K should never be anglicized as a C because I don't know where they got that from. I mean, I took a couple of years of Japanese. That's it's always kakiko. It's always K, never a C.
yeah,
And so where did they get that? I don't know, but
that's also a good question. Where did LC find this?
yeah,
Who knows? Who knows? It may have been the specific translator, because I'm sure they were translating it from the characters. But who in the world knows?
right.
It's LC. I mean, they make more money than we do to figure these things out. But who knows where they're getting it? Because this, I'm sure, this is what their translator sees here.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows? Um, as always, though, if you guys are ever cataloging and have questions about this, you can always ask Cat Help. You can always email me directly. But just note that names can be weird, specifically because spelling and everything else. So it is what it is, y'all. And it's not necessarily good. Okay. So that is our difference in author spelling on book versus authority. Um, and then of note, we've had a lot of people talking about subject headings in general. Remember that we do only use Library of Congress subject headings, the LCSH. So that means we do not use the children's headings or the juvenile subject headings. To put that in quotes, that's what they're called, juvenile subject headings. So what this would look like, a lot of the time, and when I say a lot of the time, I mean like probably between 90 and 95% of the time, when you look up a subject heading, it's going to be the exact same, whether it's a children's subject heading or an LCSH subject heading. And so, let's see, why I don't know why cats is always the example, it just is. If I look up cats, you can see here, cats, Library of Congress subject headings, those are the ones we use, LCSH, but it also down here shows you the children's catalog subject headings. And this one happens to be the exact same, cats and cats. but we don't use those children's ones, so we should always be taking those out. Those are going to be a 650/1. So you can just automatically delete those out. The ones that we keep are the 650/0. Those are LCSH. I cannot talk this one. They're generally going to be the same, and they're just going to look duplicated. We delete those. Every now and then they are going to be different. The famous one is always, this is the one that everybody always uses for an example with children's subject headings, because if you'll see here, here's it says the children's subject heading, it's authorized, it says it's pigs, but when you come down Library of Congress subject headings, it's as a reference because that's not the authorized term, and it redirects you, and swine is the one that we would use. So that's, I can't even honestly think of another example because that's the one that is historically used when we talk about these. But that's what this is talking about. Library of Congress subject heading versus juvenile. Don't use juvenile. Do take those out. You should be looking for the Library of Congress little tag on there, and those are the ones we're using. Anybody have any questions about that? No. Okay. There's also a note in here, we want to talk about French subject headings. You'll obviously notice those down in the 650s and the 655s. I believe is it RVMP, the tag after them? Basically, they're in French. They're the subject headings that ELSA uses, but they're in French. They're used by other libraries who use that thesaurus. We don't use those. So you see any French subject headings, you should be deleting those out. We've just been seeing a lot more of them come through. I think OCLC probably did a project and batch loaded a bunch of them onto records like they did with the fast headings. So when we bring records in and they possibly come from OCLC or somewhere else, they have all these extra subject headings at the bottoms that we make sure to delete out. Those are, I mean, the French ones are just the ones that we're seeing a lot right now, but there are other examples. Obviously, there's the fast headings, you can have medical headings, but you just have to remember that we only use LCSH headings in our records. Now that I've said the word headings 500 times, does anybody have questions about that? No? Okay. So does anybody have questions in general? Somebody says they're always explaining this to surf staff. I'm sure they're meaning the names, because if the names are different on in the 100 versus on the book, the 100 is the part that appears on the label, and then surf people say this is wrong, and it does look wrong. It's just not. It is correct. It's just weird.
Liz, this is Carol. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm kind of backtracking. You were talking about baby cat. So
Yes.
is there special training that my circ staff has to take in order to do that?
No.
Because I have circ staff today that can do this, change shelving locations, change barcodes, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so this was created because people were going in and adding those permissions to other groups. So we just went ahead and made one so that we could track who was using those. There is not going to be special training for people who need baby cat and are using baby cat. So they will not have a certification, but they will have to, somebody will have to contact me and say, Liz, this person needs baby cat. I will add it. And then they will just have baby cat and be able to do those things. It's just more for like statistical purposes and like keeping track of things, that it's a whole separate group.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so does that make sense? So anybody who wants and needs to use baby cat can have it and use it. Because there's a lot of circ staff who, they are the ones in the front line and they may be needing to change, you know, a barcode. They see the damage, they can just replace the barcode there. Why take it to the cataloger? So there are a lot of people who will be using that, and it's just out there as its own little permission group for ease. Do we have any more questions about anything we've talked about? Or I guess I've talked about? Okay, I told you this was a very quick meeting today. We are just barely at 11:30. Reminder that our next cataloging meeting is going to be November 18th. So that is the third Monday of the month instead of the second, because again, we are encountering another holiday. I believe it's Veterans Day. Don't quote me on that. I'm really bad at these holidays. When we start getting close to Christmas, they all run together. So November 18th will be our next cataloging meeting. It is going to be at the same time, 11, and it's going to be the same link as always. Steve was kind enough to adjust that on the calendar on the website. So if you forget and go to log in, you will see that that has been moved, and that is why. And of course, again, reminder again, we are not having a December cataloging meeting. That is your get it a jail free month. So that's a bye. Anybody have any questions? Yes, same bat time, same bat channel, exactly. Just a week further. I think this was an easy one. You guys know where to find me if you need me. Please email, text, call me if you need anything. And of course, there's always cat help with the entire committee. So, what? Who said people were allowed to retire? Which, congratulations. Do we all dream of retirement? I mean, I don't know if I do at this point. Not yet. Give it a few more years and we'll see. But congratulations on your retirement, Jennifer. Hopefully no more cataloging in retirement, but if you miss it that much, you know. All right, guys. If you have not signed in, please sign in the chat so I can take attendance later. And other than that, if nobody has any questions, we are gonna mark this one as done for October. All right. I will see you guys on the listserv.